Welcome back to Old School Sports and our Franchise Hockey Manager 8 playthrough of the New York Islanders. Hope you're enjoying the series. If you are, would really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and like our videos and comment down below. Let us know what you think. We are at the start of the 2026-2027 season. The Islanders are two-time defending Stanley Cup champions. Roster looks very similar to last season, with the big exception is being that our one-year rental of Panarin is over. He was looking for over $10 million in free agency. We did not have the money to pay him anywhere close to that, so Panarin is gone after leading the team in scoring last season. But hey, we rented him. We got a second consecutive Stanley Cup championship. It was costly. Had to give up a really good prospect for him, but it all worked out. So we thank him for his service, and we move on. Looking at the roster at the beginning of the season, still have Perrick and Ottinger in goal. You can see we have added Ottinger to the trade block. We mentioned in our last episode that Brett Brochu, who is going to be in Bridgeport, is really kind of growing into a really good prospect. So if somebody blows us away this season with an offer for Ottinger, we probably would consider trading him. If not, given that $4.4 million cap hit and 3 years left after this season, we may move on anyways, trade him to free up a little bit of salary space and move up Brochu. The defense, similar to where it's been. Pelech, Dobson, Pulick, Fox, Marino are back. Jaracek spent a good amount of time with the team last year. He's back at age 22. And then Matteo Rotundi, who I believe is the last first-round pick that we actually had before we started trading away all our first-rounders for kind of higher level players that have helped lead us to the two Stanley Cups, is going to be up on the big club for the balance of the season, hopefully. Interesting to see what he'll do as a rookie. Left wing is a little weak now with Panarin gone. Beauvillier is back. We've made him a second assistant captain. Tanner Howe is back, our number one pick from a few seasons ago, who went right into the NHL as a teenager. But then Chibrikov, who we just picked up from the KHL, and Stromgren, who we drafted a few years ago, rookies who will be playing some left wing for us. Center, strong again with the captain, Barzal, Matthew Savoy, Atu Rati, Xavier Bourgault, and Alexander Campbell on the team. And then right wings, really like how we're positioned here, led by Konechny and Natchez, two of the veterans that we had traded for a couple seasons ago. Oliver Wahlstrom, Bobby Brink, and then the youngster Marcus Almquist. So that is likely what the roster will look like. We still have about a week and a half till the season starts, although we are through the preseason now, or at least our preseason games. So it could be something that comes across the waiver wire that's interesting, but given that we're at almost $81.3 million in salary, it's going to have to be something relatively cheap that comes across the waiver wire for us to be able to do anything with it. We have now made it to opening night, so the 2026-2027 season is about to get underway. Goal, as I mentioned, is a three-peat. Not going to be easy to do. First step in the process is going to be a healthy regular season. Hopefully we won't be battling for a playoff spot come late March. Hopefully we'll have that pretty much locked up and can hopefully be looking for some home ice for at least a couple of rounds. But with 2 wins in a row, we are trying to secure the Islanders' position as a dynasty 40-plus years after their first dynasty. So the goal is definitely to win it all this season. Went through waivers, and we almost made a big mistake. I'll point this one out. I was a little bummed when I realized it, but I had mentioned we had put Ottinger on the trade block because we liked Brochu, and then Brochu actually had to go through waivers. I hadn't been paying a lot of attention, but it makes sense now that I think about it, although he's a young player who has only played 2 games in his NHL career. He had his entry-level contract had expired, so at the beginning of the off-season, we had signed him to a 3-year extension at a reasonable level, but not being under an entry-level contract anymore, he actually had to go through waivers, so I thought we would potentially lose him. Got really lucky and he made it through waivers, so now we've got him down in Bridgeport for the time being. Obviously, if we have an injury, we'll likely need to bring him up, or if we get blown away by an offer for Ottinger, would potentially bring him up also, but probably not going to want to send him back down and risk losing him if one of those circumstances changes. So quite honestly, if we do have a goalie injury, it may just mean that encourages us to move on from Ottinger after that injury is healed. But we will see what the season has to bring. We are off, opening up on home ice against the Edmonton Oilers. Well, we're into the month of November, and the Islanders have gotten off to a slow start. You can see we're last in the Metropolitan Division, just a 3-4 record so far, only 6 points. Ottinger has been incredible in the 2 games he's played with a 1.49 goals against, 956 save percentage. Unfortunately for us, Perrick hasn't been as good. He's played 5 games, but a 1-4 record. But his 2.81 goals against and his 907 save percentage are a little worse than a year ago, but tend to think that he will bounce back. Bouvillier just got suspended for 3 games, so that's not optimal. Offense has been, not what it was a year ago when we had Panarin out there on the first line with Barzal, but those are the breaks. We're going to have to go with a somewhat younger team and only one truly dynamic offensive playmaker in Matthew Barzal, the captain. And it looks like he's off to a solid season with 2 goals and 4 assists through 7 games. Hopefully he can pick up the pace for us over the rest of the season, and would love to see him average at least a point a game, if not a little more, given that he is going to be leading our number 1 line for us. Well, we've made it to the month of December. Islanders playing a little better with a 9-6 record over the past month, although we got crushed by the Penguins 9-3 yesterday on the road. Looking at the standings, we're right on the border of being a playoff team, so certainly not where we want to be 22 games through the season. But we will get better. Ottinger, you can see, is kind of, as he tends to do, taking over as the number 1 goalie and having a nice year with a 9-4 record. We have gotten 1 trade offer for him. It was nothing exciting. It was a 23-year-old defenseman, kind of 3-star potential. Nothing too exciting. Certainly not someone that we're going to disrupt a team that's pursuing a Stanley Cup for. Barzal has definitely taken things up another notch since we last checked in a month ago. Now has 14 goals and 10 assists. Those 14 goals tied for 4th in the NHL, 24 points through 22 games. So he has started to deliver some offense. Looking at a couple other things, development report. Take a quick look through that. We see we've got a lot of young players developing, but with the number of young players that we also have on the big club, Borgal, Brink, Tanner Howe, Jaracek, and Rotundi and Ratte all showed some improvement over the last month. So that's certainly positive that those younger players are still getting better. And really don't have anybody who's kind of regressing. Don't have too many older players on the team this year, and fortunately, at least for the month of November, everyone was kind of moving in a pretty good direction. Haven't checked in on the prospects for a while. We're weaker than we used to be. You can see we're now the 7th rated farm system. Haven't had a number 1 pick for a couple seasons in a row now, and we've also traded away some young players. Stenberg, is in the minors. Chibrikov, Rotundi are on the big team, and then Daniil Butt is in the minors in Oman. Not even sure where he is. I think he's still overseas in Sweden playing. He was a third round draft pick for us a couple seasons ago. We'll have to decide what to do with him at some point, but he is the fifth best prospect in our organization right now. So still have good prospect system, but not what it used to be. But that's what happens when you start trading away players that are young and players that are old, also to be fair, and draft picks to try to make a run at the Stanley Cup. So we are going to continue on with the month of December. If anything real interesting happens, we'll let you know. Been a good season for us so far as injuries. Only have one player, the youngster Stromgren, on the injured list right now with a bone bruise. He's out for another couple of weeks most likely, but been a pretty healthy season for the Islanders so far. Hopefully it will stay that way as we get deeper into the winter. Of course, as soon as I mention a lack of injuries, we get a big one. To a big player, not a major injury, but Barzal is going to be out with a sore Achilles tendon for the next couple of weeks. So we have moved him to the IL. You can see Stromgren's going to be back soon. Until then, though, we are going to give one of our youngsters an opportunity to come up, hopefully play a game or two. Jeremy Leroux, who was our second round pick back in 2024. You see, we had him in the juniors in Quebec. Finally purchased his contract, and he's been in Bridgeport for us. 11 goals and 10 assists in 30 games. They're going to bring him up to the roster, give him a little introduction for maybe a game or two to NHL play. Presumably we'll send him back down when Stromgren comes back, but nothing's guaranteed, so we'll see how he is able to do. Hopefully Deneen will give him a little playing time over the next couple of days while he is on the NHL roster. Well, the calendar is flipped to 2027. Islanders playing a little better lately, 8-4-1 record over the month of December. You can see when you look at the standings, we're third place in the Metropolitan Division, so we'd be in the playoffs right now if the season ended today, but we're only a few points away from being out of the playoffs. Definitely not as dominant a regular season as we had last year. We'll see if we can get things turned in a better direction. Injuries still nothing too significant. Barzal is back. Atu is on the injured list right now, but should be back soon. Looks like his goal scoring has really kind of taken another notch forward this year, which is positive, with 12 goals in 29 games for the youngster. Well, we've simmed ahead to mid-January. Islanders playing pretty similarly, but now we do finally have a major injury. Beauvillier going to be out for 3 to 4 months with a severe neck laceration. Definitely not optimal. You can see he had scored 37 points in 34 games, so was having a really nice regular season for us. Gonna stink to lose him. Hopefully we will still be playing when he's potentially back. It'll be right about the start of the playoffs, but gonna have to send him to the injured list right now. Taking a look at the team, we're in the playoffs if the season ended today, although just barely. But you can see we're also only 3 points out of first place in the Metropolitan Division. So the Devils, Flyers, Rangers, and Islanders are all bunched real tightly as we are at the midway point of the season. Hopefully we can play a little better, even though we won't have Beauvillier, and start opening up a little bit of space on the rest of the division in the coming weeks. thinking about who we're going to bring up for Anthony. Take a look down into the organization. Probably will not be a particularly exciting name at this point. Could bring LaRue back. He would get a little playing time potentially with Bavillier out. Other option is to potentially bring up the youngster Zhugin. He's got 22 points in 45 games in Bridgeport. LaRue with 27 points in 42 games. They're both doing well. I think I'm going to bring LaRue back up to the major league team for at least a little while. Send Bavillier to the injured list. And we will keep moving forward. Hopefully the youngster will give a little boost to our offense while he's on the team, getting a little run with the big club. Well, the fact that we put Ottinger on the trade block has finally resulted in a real tough decision for us. The Canadiens just offered us 21-year-old defenseman Justin Huynh. You can see he's out with a torn thumb ligament for 1 to 2 weeks, but he's a 21-year-old. Our scout sees as having five-star potential. He was drafted in the first round by them with the 11th pick overall in 2024. And we know that we're going to be losing Marino after this season. So even if Huynh were to be in the AHL for us this season, unless we had an injury, we've got an opening on the team next year for a defenseman. And our scouts, say he's as good as Jiricek right now and can potentially be as good or better than Adam Fox. Would be, you can see he's got a nice offensive profile. Defense, certainly nothing exceptional. Mental rating, certainly nothing exceptional at this point. Pretty sound physical abilities. Still a player who's developing. But given that we've got Brochu down in the AHL at Bridgeport, it's an interesting decision for us. It's kind of crazy for a team that is competing, hopefully, for a Stanley Cup to think about trading away our number one goalie. You can see he's played 31 games for us, 21-9 record, 912 save percentage. And Perrick has been bad this year. 351 goals against, 889 save percentage. He's only 4-7. But when we kind of look at Perrick versus Ottinger, mentally they're both really good, but I would say advantage slightly to Perrick. And then even at the goalie ratings, Ottinger is just extremely consistent with his ratings, 14s and 15s just about everywhere. The only thing that he's better than Perrick in theoretically is passing. He's a better passer than him, a little better with the glove, and, slightly better at puck handling, and then a little better of a skater. But everything else, as far as what a goalie needs to do, Perrick is better. So I wouldn't mind giving him some playing time. The other part of the equation is that when we go down to the AHL, Brochu is, pretty, similar also. He's not as good as Perrick, but mentally, they're close. Physically, in terms of the goalie ratings, a little bit more of a difference here. If we look at Ottinger versus Brochu, Ottinger is definitely better at several aspects: positioning, passing, blocking. But there's also, several aspects of the game where Brochu's clearly better. Notably rebound, recovery, puck handling, low shots, reflexes. I think we kind of want to do this trade. I know it's absolutely crazy to think about taking out a goalie who has been our starter for 2 straight Stanley Cups, but if we make this trade, we're going to free up some salary so that potentially we can add a little bit of offense before the trade deadline, which I think wouldn't be the worst thing for us to do. And this trade is also going to give us a great, potentially young defenseman who's going to be able to take right over for us for Marino. You know, we're going to let Marino go after this season, and we're going to have someone to slot right in and kind of keep our blue line, you know, as good as it has been for the past several seasons. So would love to hear your thoughts down below as to whether this is a nutty trade for us to make or not, but we are going to do it. We are going to bring up Brochu. What that is also going to allow us to do, hopefully, is it's going to give us enough salary cap space that we can finally sign Tanner Howe to the extension we want. It'll be interesting. We were trying to sign him in the off season when we ran out of space. He's looking for a little more now. He was looking for about $3.4 million then. Now he's looking for about $3.8 million. So it's going to cost us, but still would prefer to just get him locked up. So we've got some salary cap space now. Bavillier, you know, still in the early stages of that injury, unfortunately, but we are going to send Hune down. I guess we could also just put him on the injured list. Bring up Brochu at goal, and maybe start looking over the trade block to see if there's someone who we can potentially bring in to potentially play wing for us and give a little jump start to our offense as we head into the second half of the season here. The Islanders have had some huge games over the last week or two. Barzal with 2 goals and 4 assists in a 12-2 win over the Bruins. And in the same game, Natchez had a goal and 4 assists. Next time out, Konechny, 8-2 win for the Islanders with 1 goal and 4 assists. So far trading away Ottinger hasn't cost us, and we did get Tanner Howe signed. Had to go to $3.7 million a year for him for each of the next 3 seasons, but good to have the former first-round draft pick from us, who is continuing to develop, locked up for another few seasons with the big club. Well, the month of January was a great one for the Islanders. Record over the last month is 11-3. Obviously, the trade of Ottinger, particularly when we get to the playoffs, that will prove whether or not the month of January was really a great one for the Islanders or not. But certainly on the ice in the regular season, starting to kind of put a nice run together. Matthew Barzal, player of the month for the month of January. Can see he's having a really nice season for us. 31 goals, 28 assists, 59 points through 44 games. He's up there in the league in both points scored. His 59 is tied for 6th, and he's second in the league with those 31 goals. You can see that with the strong run we've had recently, we are now on top of the Metropolitan Division, but it's still an incredibly tight division, only 3 points between us and the Rangers, who are 4th in the division. So starting to feel a little better with the run that we're on, that we're going to make the playoffs, but whether we are a number 1 seed in the East or a number 7 or 8 seed is a pretty fine line right now. And it's interesting to see that Montreal is tied with us for the most points in the East right now with 63. Would be pretty interesting if at some point in the playoffs we have to go up against them in Ottinger. But we're still 33 games away from that in terms of the regular season. So we are going to continue moving forward, but certainly happier with the way that the Islanders are playing right now. Hopefully we can keep this good run going and get a little distance between us and our rivals in the Metropolitan Division. So Justin Huynh, who we acquired in that big Ottinger trade, is ready to come off the IL right now We are going to send him to Bridgeport for the time being, but we may put Marino on the trade block. He's minus 11 this year. He's only played 31 games. You look at the rest of our defensemen: Dobson plus 18, rookie Rotundi plus 20, Pellick plus 12, Fox plus 32 as he chases a Norris Trophy, Pollock plus 22 as he tries to defend his Norris Trophy, and Jarachik only plus 1 for the youngster. It's kind of been Jarachik and Marino is kind of the guys who are getting the least playing time, but at least Jarachik's been plus 1. Marino just hasn't been great. I think someone would have to blow us away for me to trade him, but given that he's on the last year of his contract and we now have a potential replacement in the minors in Huynh, I think we have to at least see if someone blows us away with an offer for him. I think it's perhaps strangely a lot less likely that we would trade him than our former starting goalie Ottinger, who we had locked up at a similar amount for the next 3 years. But Marino is still a good stay-at-home veteran defenseman who's had a nice run with us the last few seasons. Would be real hard to trade him, but I don't think I'm doing my job if I don't at least consider it as we head closer to the trade deadline. And taking a look at the trade block, nothing jumps off the page as an obvious player who's going to make us a ton better. Kreider from the Rangers probably could be relatively cheap. He's in the last year of his contract, making $5 million, but particularly while Beauvillier is out, we could certainly get on a run with him for the next couple of months and then deal with it in the playoffs if we needed to. I'm pretty sure that FHM 8 still has the salary cap apply to the playoffs, unlike some of the shenanigans we have seen in recent years with the NHL playoffs and teams kind of bringing on a bunch of salary during the regular season with players on the injured list and then being able to kind of have more potent teams in the playoffs. I think the way it works in FHM 8 is that we still need to remain under the cap, so I don't know that we'd be able to play both of them. Andrew Kopp is kind of another option, another solid veteran left winger making $4.5 million. Those are guys that we would think about. If we could get them real cheaply in the last years of their contract, they probably would be a modest upgrade for us over the likes of Stromgren, certainly. So it's something to think about, but we're not going to pay too much to do it, but we'll see how things go over the next couple of weeks. And we have decided to make a trade to kind of bolster our forwards a bit, picking up the 32-year-old left wing Andrew Kopp from Winnipeg. I have to give Matthew Joseph, who has been a versatile player for us for the past several years, versatile just that he can play any position, and he has been kind of an injury fill-in for us, spending probably 80 to 90% of his time in Bridgeport the last few years, 10 to 20% of his time up with the Islanders. He's never been taken away from us in waivers, so has been a valuable player, but was in the last year of his contract. Weren't going to re-sign him. And then we have to give up a third and 2 sixths. Don't think that those picks are all that valuable, so happy to do it to get Kopp as a rental. He's making, a similar amount to what Ottinger had been making. So the hope is that even when we get into the playoffs, we'll be able to fit him in under the cap without without kind of having to radically adjust things too much. But I haven't actually spent the time figuring out everything to the penny as to whether that would work or not. But that is probably going to be about it for us in terms of trade deadline kind of trades this season. Feel like the roster's in pretty good shape. We're coming off of the All-Star break. You can see we're now 69 points, which is best in the East, and we've opened up a little bit of space between the Devils, the Flyers, and the Rangers, which is good. Interestingly, the only team that's has more points than us at this point is Winnipeg, who we just traded with. So they certainly seem to see less value in Copp than we do, but hopefully he can help push us forward in these last month and a half of the, or I guess close to 2 months of the regular season before we get into the playoffs. Well, we are into the month of March, and the Islanders are continuing to play fantastic hockey. 8-1-2 record in the month of February. And for the month of February, Tanner Howe, who we were recently able to sign to that extension after we cleared up a little bit of budgetary space, player of the month. And then Brett Brochu, the young goalie who we brought up after trading away Ottinger, the goalie of the month. You can see he is off to a blistering start with the Islanders. 2.23 goals against, 921 save percentage, and a 10-2-1 record with 3 shutouts in his first 13 games. So it seems like the moves that we've made are paying dividends so far. You know, the Islanders now with the second best record in hockey, still behind only the Jets. Brochu, in the limited time that he has, is now leading the league in goals against, third in save percentage. Barzal still second in goals with 38, up there with 74 points. If he hadn't missed a week and a half, you know, maybe he'd have a chance at well, he still has a chance at leading the league in goals, but maybe he would be leading the league in goals right now if he hadn't been banged up there for a bit earlier in the season. But everything is going well for the Islanders so far. Hopefully we can continue the momentum through the month of March, and then be well positioned when we get into the playoffs in April. Well, the month of March is now in the books, and we're in the final stages of the regular season. Islanders with another good month, a 9-5-1 record. In the interest of full transparency, though, the guy we traded away, Jake Ottinger, won goalie of the month for the Canadiens for his strong performance. So kind of interesting that Brochu last month, who we brought up for Ottinger, won goalie of the month for us, and now Ottinger won goalie of the month for them. Looking at the standings, 98 points with 8 games left in the regular season. First place in the Metropolitan Division. Most points in the Eastern Conference, second most points in hockey behind only Winnipeg. Brochu still having a really nice season for us as a rookie, and Barzal tied for the league lead in goals, most productive season of his career with 8 games left. Obviously would love to see him lead the league in goals. If he can't lead the league, would love to see him get to 50 goals. That would be quite a achievement for him. And then with 88 points, he's going to have some monster games to get to his first 100-point season, but obviously would love to see that also. The bad news is that the injuries are starting to stack up a little bit for us. Almquist will be back, but Beauvillier is a few weeks to recover from his injury, but the rookie defenseman Matteo Rotundi is going to be out 1 to 2 months with a lacerated forearm, so hopefully we'll still be playing in the playoffs when he's available. And then Marty Necas out for another couple of weeks with a hamstring strain. So some key players on the IL for us, but hopefully it's something that we can overcome. Obviously we've been playing well. Marino also banged up right now with an elbow contusion, but nothing too serious. So the additional injuries has allowed us to bring up a couple youngsters. LaRue back on the roster. You can see he had a really nice season in Bridgeport and has been extremely productive at the NHL level too, with 6 goals in 9 games for us. And then it also allowed us to bring up Otto Stenberg, who had a monster year in Bridgeport with 31 goals. Has only played 2 games for the Islanders so far, but getting to give some of the prospects left in our system a little bit more playing time. Last thing to check on before we finish up the regular season, Andrew Kopp has been extremely unproductive since he joined the Islanders. No points in 18 games. So we're hoping he would be a little bit more of a difference maker for us than he has been. But all it takes is 1 game in the playoff to make yourself a legend. Well, we are in the final stages of the regular season, 2 games to go. You can see we're up by 5 points on the Rangers and Flyers, so we have clinched the #1 seed out of the Metropolitan Division. Also have clinched the #1 seed in the Eastern Conference, which is great. Unfortunately, we just lost to Winnipeg 4-3, so they have 110 points, so we aren't going to be able to defend the President's Trophy this year. That's going to go to Winnipeg. Brochu, you can see, still third in the league in goals against average since he came up. And Barzal is got a 2-goal lead to lead the league in goals and 95 points. So he's got 2 games to get to 50 goals and would need to score 5 points in those two games to get to 100 points for the year. So I think that's relatively unlikely, but we will sim through these last couple of games quickly and see what happens. Going to be on the road at the Blackhawks for our next game. Looking at the standings, not a great season for the Blackhawks. Definitely an opportunity for hopefully us to pick up another couple of points. Let's see what happens. 3-1 victory. Barzal looks like he did get an assist, but did not get a goal. So he's going to need a monster game in the last game of the season to get to 100 points. But just 1 goal would get him to 50 on the year, which would be kind of cool. We are going to be hosting Florida for the last game of the year. They are going to also be a playoff team. Most likely, it looks like they could technically, yeah, they're going to be in the playoffs. Even if they lost, they would still have the same number of points as, even if they lose, they would still have 92 points. Now they could get into a tiebreaker with Columbus, Tampa Bay for the final playoff spot in the East, although they've got more wins. So yeah, they're in the playoffs. Anywho. So they don't have too much to play for. We don't have too much to play for either, having locked up the division. But let's see if Barzal can get to 50 goals and if he has a monster game, 100 points on the year. Before we do that, we've got to get Marty Necas back in the lineup, which we'd be happy to do. Good to get him 1 game. Send Stenberg back down to Bridgeport. The youngster may be back at some point. Last game of the year of the regular season against the Panthers. And 2 goals from Barzal. And oh my goodness. Gonna have to look at that box score. 2 goals and 2 assists for Matthew Barzal in the final game of the season. A 7-1 victory. And the 2 goals and 2 assists give Barzal his first 50-goal season, his first 100-point season. So what a finish to the regular season for the captain, Barzal, who leads the league in goals, 6th in the league in points with his, as I said, his first 100-point season. Just looking at his career stats here. What a nice run for him. He's been with the Islanders since he was a teenager. Going to be 30 years old next season. Actually, he could turn 30 in the playoffs if we make a good run. But the best year of Barzal's career, not only his first 50-goal season, it was actually his first 40-goal season, and 100 points on the year for him. So definitely took his level of play up another notch without Panarin on the team this year in terms of providing a lot of offense for the Islanders. So with that great finish to the regular season, we are the number one seed in the Eastern Conference as we try to win a third straight Stanley Cup. We will be back with the playoffs and a full review of the 2026-2027 regular season in our next episode. Until then, thank you so much for watching. Hope you have a great day.